Meeting in order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. One change to we're pulling off the police officer hire on 6A. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Move. Can I get a second?
Sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Open forum. Is there anybody that would like to speak in front of us?
Bill Fair,
Yeah, former council member too, huh?
Long time ago, mid-80s.
Thanks for coming, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I see, or I heard tonight that you got the museum lease on the agenda for tonight, so I just thought I'd come in and maybe I should have Roger talk. I'm one of the youngest members of the board of directors of the museum right now.
he's the best.
One of the newest. But I just thought, just to give my input on that a little bit. First of all, I'd like to thank the city for having a relationship with the Historical Society for, I don't know, is it 20, 30 years now? Something like that. I remember when the original museum was still outside here, before they built this new place. So, first of all, I want to thank the city for that, for a great relationship over the years. And that, how many of you have been to the museum lately? Anybody? Been a while, huh? One thing I've always liked with our museum, it's not just of the city of Melrose, it's the school district. So it really represents a nice community, if you want to call it that. I don't know if you're aware of how the museum is financed, but it's basically through memberships and donations, which gives us enough during the year to kind of take care of the operation, but doesn't give us a whole lot to put away for rainy days and so forth. But we get by fine. It's a nice home. The convent's worked out real good for us. We have done some remodeling to it over the years. I know shortly after they moved in, the old flat roof, you remember that? That building had a flat roof and it was leaking. So some of the upstairs rooms were damaged. So one of the first things the museum had to do was put a roof on the thing. And just a couple of years ago now, we had to re-roof it. So that I think that all came out of museum funds. This last winter, we put a little more money into it, and we fixed up some of those rooms upstairs that had never been fixed after the water leakage. So we now have better storage facilities on the second floor. Looks a lot nicer than what it used to. And we're now, Roger's been working with Grant to see if we can get actually better lighting in it. That's one of the things that we could really use in the museum is lighting design for a museum. So we're hoping that goes all the way through and so forth. But yeah, I just wanted to say as a member of the board of directors that we really appreciate having a home there. And with the lease coming up, I myself for sure appreciate having another generation's worth of home so that the young kids can keep coming to it, because I know the school brings a lot of people over there. And a lot of people come into town, stopping to look. It's going to be nice to have a home again, or keep having a home for another 20 years. So I just wanted to say a little something about that and express my gratitude for the city allowing us to lease the building up for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Is there anybody else that would like to talk? Consent agenda. Approval of the minutes, approval of bills, purchase orders, investments, gambling resolutions, fire department bad debt, ambulance department bad debt, community festival license, street and park supervisor step increase. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move.
I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Reports. Chief Mouse?
Good evening. We have a report this month. We should have gotten the system down. We are good to go. So July 2017, we issued 13 citations in traffic area, as well as 83 verbal warnings and 3 written warnings. July 2017, we had 299 calls and requests for service, 319 last year at this time, so we're down 20 calls overall for that area. July of 2016, we're at ICR 2332, and we ended on 1959, so we're 373 behind where we would have been last year. 18 agency assists, so those are probably about 10 calls lower than what we normally are with agency assist. Everything looks similar to where we should be. 19 night was the beginning of this month. We had a very good turnout. Thanks again to the Freeport State Bank as well as everybody else that came out to participate prior to the ambulance women of today. State Farm, don't want to miss anybody, but I'm sure I just did. They came out and participated, but Freeport State Bank especially for putting on the meal and helping with the advertising and those sorts of things. Those step forward every year. One reminder to the public, we are about a week and a half away from, 2 weeks away from school open houses as well as being school starting. One change to the law that took effect now is that school bus stop arm violations. So driving around a school bus when the red lights are flashing, the stop sign's out, those sorts of things, went from a $300 fine to $500. So the legislatures and the people in charge said, this is serious enough, we're boosting it up. That does not include any law library fees, surcharges, and whatever else. So you're looking closer to $600 for a fine if you're found guilty of a school bus stop arm violation. And we probably average 8 or 10 of them a year that we work on. So there's a fair number of them that if all the information comes through like it should be, that it can be an expensive process. So keep the eyes open so we don't have any issues. And the ultimate thing is that somebody could actually get hurt.
Just curious, on that note, do you find that people are driving around on purpose, or do they just like, have a lapse in?
It's a lapse in
Judgment or whatever.
judgment or lack of knowledge of what they should do. Some drivers just don't understand that even though, prime example is up by 5th Avenue Northeast by the school there, you do have a turn lane, you do have a separation between the bus and whatever else, but the children can still to cross that whole area there, and that everybody needs to stop. Front up, back up, anything around. So be overly cautious and stop, and hopefully it's going to be done safely, or the confusion can cause some issues down the road. And the bus drivers have been trained very well to notice license plates, vehicle description, those things, because that's what we're looking for, and that's what we're looking for. So they've done a really good job with the whole situation in the same commission.
Do you think you can check, is there any grants out there for like school bus stop signs? I was approached by a couple of people, if we can put them in some places around town where, we know the bus is going to be stopping here, school bus stop ahead. We've seen a lot of other towns. I know Coachman's really good about having signs. Do you think, is there a way we can check and see if there's anything around?
Yeah, I can take a look, see if there's something maybe in the Safe Roads to School program, or if there's anything that Gary Middendorf's familiar with through a streets program of some sort. We can see what we can, because we have daycare that have been there for years and will still be there for years, hopefully, for a lot of these families that, it's an obvious bus stop, so it makes sense to have a sign in that area if we can do all of it,
Do you think you can maybe see if we can have any information next month or something?
Yeah. Yep. Anything else?
I wonder, would you be putting something like that in the beacon as far as the school bus stop arm and the penalty increase to highlight it somehow, Carol?
I have it down in my notes.
But if you could somehow make it in bold print.
Just for you.
Great.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Mr. Creelman, 400 block update.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. 400 block update. City staff have been working closely with staff from the state as well as the property owner to make sure that everybody's on the same page throughout the process. The state is ready to begin processing the requests as we do have all the documentation necessary. This is based on a reimbursement basis. So the property owner is finalizing quotes also for the work to remain on the 400 block. That would be to remove the foundation, to fill it in, and get utilities to the lot. And we're hoping that once those quotes come in, the work begins soon. So I'll be following up with the property owner tomorrow morning to try to find out if he's moving, how that's going. It's moving. Also, city staff do feel that it's necessary to have a joint meeting with the council members as well as the Meta members in an effort to coordinate and consolidate efforts related to the redevelopment of the 400 block and state appropriations. So that meeting will be on Tuesday, which I'm sure most of you know. Any questions?
Good? All right, thank you. City Attorney report, Scott?
Yeah, just going back since the last meeting, tying up some loose ends on the Genio project. There was a question, we had had Genio post a letter of credit, and we were following up to see about when they get to remove that. And they're far enough along that they no longer have to keep that in place. As you can see in the agenda I heard earlier, we're going to be looking at renewing the Historical Society's lease, and that would be an action item later in the agenda. These things go out a week before the meeting, and so since then you'll also notice we've got an ordinance regarding portable storage units that we're going to be asked to look at as well. So those are the big items. I don't know if you guys have any questions on any of those or other items. So I have that. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Tessa, general fund financial quarterly report?
Yes, so the year is flying by and we have the second quarter financials. For the general fund, revenues are looking low as of June 30th at 27%, and that's because the first half of our local government aid is received in July, as well as a portion of our property taxes. The administrative charges are also not done until year end, so that's paid from the ambulance department as well as all of our TIP funds transfer their administrative fees. Expenses are running a little under budget. Insurance is running lower just from budgeting conservatively for employees. And we also had budgeted for a summer intern in the city offices, but we did not go with that hire. But however, the maintenance costs are running a little high due to an unexpected server upgrade at the beginning of the year. Also causing the expenses to be a little lower was our second quarter building inspector fees that were paid in July. And the police services to the county will be paid also, those have not. For MATA, you'll see that expenditures compared to the budget are way out of line. There were a lot of projects at the beginning of the year resulting in a lot of outside consulting fees. Since this was prepared, those costs have been transferred out to the associated funds, and we're hoping to get reimbursed through TIP proceeds and state grants for hopefully much of that. Ambulance calls have been running pretty high this year. They've been busy, so they're about 8% higher than what we would expect at that point. However, expenses are coming in right on track, so it looks to be like a good year for the ambulance. Fire department, as usual, revenues are very low at this point. That all comes in at the end of the year with the townships and the towns and the city contribution. And expenses are also low because the salaries are paid in December when the proceeds come in. Capital project funds, again, the revenues are a little lower. Our TIP proceeds that we received, we got a portion in June and the second half was paid in July. And just due to timing, a lot of the costs haven't been paid yet in the first 6 months of the year. A lot of that will be done in the summer. And as far as our debt service funds, all of our expenses have been paid. The principal and interest payments are all paid. Now we're just waiting to be reimbursed through the tax revenue, which will come through the year. So those funds we kind of run at a deficit throughout the year and then get reimbursed. Does anybody have any questions on anything?
Tessa, you and I know we've talked about this a couple of times. There was a nice surprise that we got from the state, the special session with the state roads dollars.
Yes, yep, we received about $43,000 from the state that we weren't anticipating. That has to be used for transportation. So we had that going into the street set aside that was received in July. In the past, we had received it also, and we put it towards a bridge. However, the funds have to be used within 18 months, I believe. So we have all of those going to the street set asides. All right.
Action items, 6B, prevailing wage BDPI grant.
The city, in partnership with the Minnesota Deed, have granted the city $1 million grant. And that $1 million grant does have some administrative requirements associated to do that, specifically prevailing wage, Davis Bacon. Therefore, if we have an employee that is actually physically entrenched doing the work, they're entitled to the prevailing wage rate. So, and these dollars would be reimbursed through the grant process. So the Utility Commission has reviewed this and we're required to under the grant agreement, but we're formally signing the MOUs with the union as well as our employees that would be receiving these funds. So staff's recommendation is to approve as presented.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carried. Ordinance number 817, 17 ordinance to chapter 154 of the city. Melrose City Code regulating replacement and use of portable storage units.
Good evening. Portable storage ordinance, really where this originated was, is meant to kind of prevent or limit the use of portable storage units throughout the city in all zoning districts. There are some dilapidated units throughout the city, and these would be semi-trailers that are no longer street ready to go, just your storage containers that look, just the steel storage containers that don't have a foundation and everything. And so city staff thought it would be wise to have an ordinance in place to prevent or limit more of these units from coming into the city. And if the council wishes for the staff to monitor these through permitting, like we have in the ordinance currently, it was staff's conversation and decision to kind of come up with some type of number, and that was about $25 per permit. Our zoning permits right now are $15, and that's for if you put up a fence or anything like that, it's $15 to get the permit for that. There's not much staff time needed. However, for this, if the storage units do end up going over their time and past their time limit, then city staff would have to, follow up with the company that delivered them, follow up with the property owner, so it'll take a little bit more time. So.
What's the time limit that you heard?
In the ordinance, 90 days, yeah.
It's just my question is no longer than 180. The hospital was built in, 18 months?
Yeah.
Jenny was going to be 18 months, and they've both had Conex boxes, as we call them,
Yep.
there. And in this ordinance, they would be in violation of that after 6 months. So what would be the remedy to a long-term construction project similar to one of those two? Or the Conex box that's sitting out at the church right now, it's been there for 18 months.
That's a good question. We do have exceptions in the ordinance as it's written right now to allow for, if there is a storage unit or a semi-trailer and it's screened properly, that type of thing. It, could add something that said if it's an ongoing construction or demolition situation or something along those lines, that it would be exempt. That would be something that would be open for discussion.
I think before I would adopt something, I'd want to see all the details.
Sure.
I also have a question on violations of penalties. I don't know if that's just the standard, the penalty is guilty as misdemeanor, fine of up to $1,000 and imprisonment, county jail for not more than 1 days. That to me, it's a little excessive for this thing.
That is the maximum misdemeanor violation. that tells you up to, you know, so if the judge is having a bad day and you really irritate him, yeah, you know, typically, no.
Can we make a fee schedule similar to dog nuisance? You know, we have first violation, second violation, at a municipal level versus the state statute. Something that is got enough teeth that they'll want to listen to it or obey it, but not end up sitting in jail.
The administrative fines and that's all.
Yeah.
I feel better about that.
That way the money actually stays there too.
I like the ordinance in general. I think it's a good idea, a good principle, but I think there's a couple of things to work out.
Any other questions?
All right, so
Good start.
we can bring it back next month.
Or-
Okay, the ordinance number 817, 2017, official title and summary.
Yeah, this is the summary for that ordinance, so this was, because it's like a 6-page ordinance, we try to shrink it down.
Okay. Ian?
Yeah, this is the pay voucher request for Aztec for the 2017 Seal Coat project. Gary Mittendorf, as well as Mike Nielsen, have reviewed the project. They're pretty pleased with it, and the recommendation is to approve it, so as presented.
So can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carried. 400 block demolition state funds.
As I mentioned earlier in the 400 block update, the state has received the proper documentation to move forward with the disbursement of funds at the state level. And so this is really looking for, just pull up the verbiage here. Really, this is just to authorize staff to proceed with the disbursement request forms. The state actually has forms filled out. They would send them to the city staff here. We would have them signed and then sent back to the state. They would disperse the funds to the city. And so we wouldn't necessarily release the funds until we have the meeting on Tuesday, come up with a strategic plan, if you will, and a consensus on how to move forward with this process.
Yeah, just more consensus, just that we're going to bring it before the joint meeting coming up on Tuesday night, where we're going to talk about everything in detail and give you a little bit of time to digest that 6-page memo that you sent out, Mike. I think that's
Yeah, and the motion would really just be to authorize staff to reach out to the state and say, okay, we can go forward with the forms.
So can I get a motion?
So this is just so I can say the same thing that you said in a different way. All this is doing is obtaining the money, not releasing the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Just need by consensus, right?
I would say a motion, since it is a formal request then to the state, if it's going to be proceeded that way.
Second, is there a second? All right, first and second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carried. Old business. Hydraulic analysis.
You're not talking about the presenter now, are you?
I didn't say antique, did I?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we've completed our hydraulic analysis with the proposed changes to the bridge. I passed out an updated memo to the council. I do have some, I'll be able to present that here shortly as soon as that fires up. Maybe I'll hit the lights quick while we're Okay, so essentially what we looked at was the existing bridge is about 157 feet long, a 2-span bridge with a center pier. The proposed, or the current design on the bridge is very similar to the existing bridge, except that the profile was raised a little bit on the north end to accommodate the underpass sidewalk. So what we've done is we've taken a look at shifting the bridge north. We moved it approximately 120 feet to the north. We've narrowed it up. And I did clarify that the minimum sidewalk width is 6 feet on each side of the bridge. We had previously had an 8-foot sidewalk and a 12-foot pathway on the other side. So we reduced the bridge width from 64 feet down to 56 feet and reduced it in the length from 158 feet down to 125 feet. So with that, we looked at the hydraulic analysis, and maybe Mike, just if you want to shoot to that 3D picture very quickly, it kind of shows you what it looks like a little bit. Maybe if you could zoom out just a hair, please. One more. Okay, so the gray channel, that's right now graded at a 3-to-1 slope, and then the green areas are graded at a 4-to-1 slope. So back in where we have the existing craft wall, that's essentially basically all filled in, and this is a very crude drawing right now. There's obviously some detail work to be done on that, but we're proposing to bring that up to the 100-year flood elevation at a 3-to-1, and then taper it off at the green space at a 4-to-1. So that area in the current void in the craft wall, which is now water, should be a fairly usable space. And then to the east of the bridge, behind the Ilias building, Mayor's in that area, we're proposing to bring that up again to the 100-year flood elevation and then flatten that out in the green area. Mostly because we need a place to waste dirt. And it would also make that area much more usable. Obviously some trees would have to come down, but right now the area behind the building is pretty much a steep slope down to almost a couple of feet above the water elevation, really not usable for anything. So I think that would also be an improvement. The impacts to the park are, they're not as bad as what we thought they were going to be. You know, we can show here more from the aerial view. The purple and blue lines are the contours. The floodplain line on the north side is the dashed blue line is the existing 100-year flood elevation, and the solid darker blue line is the proposed 100-year flood elevation. So maybe just pan it down a little. You can see that the shelter, which was previously just out of the 100-year flood because of fill, actually the one to the northward. Pull it straight.
Oh, okay.
See, the 100-year flood used to encompass that entire parking lot, plus it surrounded the shelter up there. The new 100-year flood elevation, which is about a foot lower than current, is the dark blue line. So if you were to go to the splash pad, I think that was proposed up in that parking area, it would no longer be in the 100-year floodplain. So, you know, a minor advantage, but it is an advantage. So maybe then go back up to the tax smart hydraulic sheets. Okay, yeah, so you can see there that the couple of the key factors is the velocity. The current bridge velocity is about 7.2 feet per second. Under the current bridge design, it goes down to 6.1. And the relocated bridge is up to 7.59, slightly higher than the existing bridge or current channel, but really barely detectable at 0.09 feet per second. So The big impact is the 100-year storm, and all the storms downstream. It reduces the 100-year upstream by about a foot. It also reduces the downstream from current by a little bit. So there isn't a downside hydraulically to changing the channel alignment. It makes things more efficient, and I think it'll reduce some of your current erosion problems. So cost estimates, again, we're shortening the bridge down to 125 feet from 158 feet, and we're narrowing the bridge from 64 feet down to 56 feet. So, and we're removing the underpass from the project. So, maybe go to the next cost sheet. So the previous bridge, the bridge alone was about a $2 million bridge. The proposed bridge is reduced to about $1.5 million. Our roadway costs are significantly reduced from $650,000 down to about $380,000. That's because we can lower the north side back down to the previous elevation, and our impacts down the road are not as great. In addition, I think we can not redo the parking lot on the business on the east-west side of the bridge. And again, we'll reduce the craft wall costs. I think we were previously about $250,000 to $280,000 in craft wall costs, and that'll be reduced significantly. The big increases come in the channel work at $575,000, and then the channel riprap, our stream bank protection at about $180,000. So overall, construction costs were at about $3.4 million versus the $2.99. We added engineering costs, and we had a range of $275,000 to $325,000. The projects come out what I'm calling cost neutral. That's closer than what I can estimate. You know, we're plus or minus 5%. So I'm saying that the costs are essentially equal, with the hope that the new project would come in about $80,000 to $100,000 cheaper. So in summary, I don't think we're going to have a big problem in getting the DNR, FEMA, the Corps of Engineers to approve the channel realignment. However, we have to go through the steps. So I think, in short, I think the next step is, because costs are shifting perhaps away from the county on the bridge and roadway costs, that we should meet with the county engineer to see if there's some give and take in cost sharing on those improvements. One of the things I really didn't factor in the cost estimate was the operations and maintenance costs. We've got a much shorter bridge, less maintenance on that bridge. We're going to spend less money, certainly on the channel downstream from the dam where it spills over and bangs into the other side. We should have less sedimentation in the river channel. And certainly in that craft wall area, we're going to be providing a maintainable slope versus something that was a one-to-one. So looking at the numbers, I think the project is doable, but again, I would recommend that the next step would be to review this information with the county to see if they will hold on their cost sharing with the current bridge. Currently, the channel realignment costs are not bridge bond eligible. So, you know, we're reducing the overall cost of the project in that area, or in the bridge and roadways, but we're increasing it in the channel alignment costs. So hopefully there would be some agreement that could be reached that would make that, again, cost neutral for both the city and the county, actually. So, pending that, the next step would be to determine the final bridge and channel geometry, which also includes the First Street North intersection. And a lot of that money in there is really for the First Street alignment. With that, I've provided a couple of different options on moving that forward. And maybe we can just briefly touch on those quickly. The first one is somewhat similar to what we have today, except, you know, people kind of head in, park there, kind of randomly. Again, I think with this option, I moved the intersection about 35 feet to the north. Currently, the south curb line is where the north curb line was on the existing roadway. So what I've drawn in there is some diagonal parking. And I've also widened it out at the mid-north lot there to put in a couple of parallel parking spots. That I didn't think we had enough room in there to put any diagonal parking in. I think it's too close to the intersection. But I think we could get a couple of parallel parking spots in there. I think we have about eight diagonal parking spots, and then we would have parallel parking on the north side of the street. And I am showing all the options with a 7-foot sidewalk on the north side of the roadway. So the next option, option 2, is kind of, that shifts the road an additional 35 feet roughly to the north, which causes a problem with grades going into that parking lot. As we go over the bridge, it falls off at a 3 to 3.5%. So every 100 feet we move, we're dropping about 3 foot in elevation. So as First Street would come into the bridge at 5th, we would be much lower than the existing parking lot. And the parking lot would then be actually too steep to walk in the winter. So this option has the parking lot separated from the roadway by a 5-foot boulevard, and then we would have a driveway about mid-block where those people would be able to come in and use that as a head-in parking with an in and out drive aisle. This may not be the most efficient for truck use, so I think we should probably talk to those businesses. I think they do get some deliveries. You know, so that's an issue I think that we need to work out with them. And again, that's more in the final design area. And then the third option is just to make it parallel parking on both sides of the roadway. You know, still leave that as a usable area in the back. Truck parking, I'm not sure yet. You know, we just drew some of these concepts up, and I think we're definitely going to have to get some input, I think, you know, from the business people. So my thoughts were that maybe we have 2 or 3 of these stalls boxed out for deliveries only. You know, then they can use a wheeler, put in a ramp. You know, you use a 2-wheeler to make deliveries and go up over the curb. So a couple of different ideas. You know, if we're going to move forward, this would be the first decision I think that needs to be kind of chiseled in stone. Will have an impact on the First Street project and how we proceed, you know, with the restoration of that 400 block repair. So all of these options do have a little bit of impact on the craft lot. They're not significant. Option number 2, this one, does kind of take out the electric box that is located right there. So the curb is okay. If we rerouted the sidewalk behind the electric box, they probably could stay. So that would save some money there also. So I guess number one, meet with the county. And if that's favorable, we'd be looking for authorization from the council to move forward with the final bridge channel, First Street geometry. Then we need to do final bridge hydraulic analysis, move on to the environmental assessment worksheet, and then complete the CLOMAR, which is the calculated letter of map reduction for the FEMA revision, and then proceed with permits. So, I guess comments, questions?
It looks pretty good. Big step in the right direction, I think, if we can figure out the funding sources. I would like to look at grant. What's the fuel result for grant money with shoreline?
Well, there is the local road improvement program. It's a MnDOT funded program. I think this would be a good candidate. I think we could probably potentially, we have gotten grants up to $1 million before out of that program. This year there is more money available. I have to check on the funding cycle though. I think this cycle is for 18 and 19, but I'd have to verify that. So, that program is an annual one, so there is money available every year for that.
With this concept like we have it around here, you know, the county has already purchased that mayor's building. Now with this new concept, does that now not need to be?
No, we would still need to purchase the mayor building. I mean, we're narrowing up, on that side of the road, it would be 6 feet, but, you know, we're still gonna need that building.
Okay, I was curious. I see it's in the drawing here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
Okay.
Any other questions, Josh?
So the specific direction from here is that Mike and his team would then meet with Jody at the county to see if this is a starter or non-starter with them. If it's a starter, then we would formally start the design processes as outlined as with these estimates that we have.
I would like to be present if possible. Final.
Would we get some input from Mike as far as the conversation with Jody and their thoughts as far as cost sharing or whatever they could do before we move ahead?
oh, yes.
I would propose, based upon these kind of questions that I'm hearing, is that we would meet with Jody. We would then ask WSB to put together a kind of a contract in regards to the agreements for what this work would look like, and then at our earliest convenience, come back before you with the comments from Jody, as well as this contracted agreement between the city and the WSB. So, research on grants as well. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be all over that.
Looks good. So I think it'd be a really nice looking addition coming into town, seeing it landscaped and such.
Yeah, one of the things that I forgot to point out on this drawing, those two red things that are sticking up out of the, well, one out of the water, and the other one is, those are the old, or the not the existing, but the proposed bridge, the previous bridge that was designed. So that kind of gives you an idea of where the old bridge was in comparison to where the new one would be. And we actually think we might be able to shorten that bridge maybe 5 feet more. You know, we go through the final hydraulics, that type of thing. We might be able to even shorten it a little bit more than we're showing it right now. So,
And you want me to put a pier under it?
correct, no pier. This is a single span bridge. Okay.
Good job, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. You gotta get going. All right, on the new business. Melrose Historical Society, the Historical Society would like to extend the lease of an additional 20-year period upon expiration of the existing agreement. The new term would expire 2038. The agreement states that there is a 6-month notice that can be given by either party to terminate the agreement. The agreement and all other terms would remain the same, with the only exception of increased insurance amount reflecting the current insurance standards. Any questions or concerns? Can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Just a question. With the lease, we're roughly 18 months prior to the expiration of the current lease. And I just want to look up, it's early, it's a lot earlier than what industry standard is. It's industry standard about 12 months on this, talking to some other folks. And while I don't think there is a cart or a horse, is it in our best interest to do that right now?
With visiting, they just wanted some assurance for, if everything goes in limbo. What I would take is, do you take stuff that you might be moving? Would you take any more historical artifacts if you think you might be kicked out of the building? So just to give them our assurance that we do want to keep the history here, that there's no worries on your behalf. I felt also with them that, yeah, we can do it, and like you said, it doesn't start till next year, but then they don't have any worries about, if anything happens from here on out, we can discuss it. Like if for some reason the church wants it, they have their 6 months to get out, and then at least we know we did our due diligence to keep you there, and if they want to do something else, they can work with whoever else, if they want to move something. So, that's my feelings.
Well, I think the Historical Society is an asset. There's a lot of volunteer time put into it. I think this is a minor step in the direction showing that we support the Historical Society and all their efforts over there. It is a very interesting place to visit. I've been there a while, but I should probably get back there again. I'm sure you can gather a lot more artifacts. But I don't have a problem giving the lease. There's still 6 months. It looks out on either side.
Good evening, Gary Walls. More than 50 days since I've been in meetings. Not counting. Jody Wayloggy, who's a trustee for St. Mary's, has attempted to set up a meeting with Mike to discuss this historical society property. Our purpose is not to relocate the museum by any chance, but they own a substantial size of their piece of property there, which could affect both what the church wants to do in the construction of a new worship space, and also it could affect what the school may plan for the future. And I guess we'd like to discuss that not only with Mike and a representative of the council or the mayor, and Roger, representatives from the Historical Society, to see what their plans are, and not necessarily, and to talk about our possibilities, so that as we go down the road, we can do our due diligence
And so that's why, in behalf of the committee, focusing on the construction of a new church worship space, we would prefer that you delay this decision probably a couple months so that we can get our act together by starting with this meeting scheduled for Monday. That would give us a chance to examine our alternatives, and if you go ahead and approve this right now, and then I know there's a six-month escape clause, or to undo it, it's more difficult to undo it than it would be to say, well, let's modify the lease by doing this. For example, I remember when the public hearing was held for the museum, one of the major concerns was parking. And I think, Roger, if you recall, you talked about 20 cars or something like that. That number seems to stick in my mind. Whether or not that space west of the museum, their property, would hold 20 cars. And the understanding was, more than likely, they would never have that many cars, and if they did, the overflow of parking would go into St. Mary's parking lot. The point is, as I recall, when we did the zoning ordinance, one of the things we talked about, for example, with parking, is that not everybody necessarily needs maximum parking if they can share parking. Parking lots cover a lot of property, and if they're not used at the same time, sometimes that's wasteful. But again, my purpose this evening is to say, give us a chance to meet with city folk, including the Historical Society, and that would give us time to explain at some point what may be in our plans over the next couple months. Again, there's no intention that I'm aware of on the part of the worship space building team to dislodge the museum or curtail this lease. We realize that the museum is a critical part of the Melrose community. If there's another space for it in Greenwald or Freeport, that's not our thought. Our thought is that the museum needs to be in Melrose. The folks like Roger and folks who have passed on, like the Van Houdermans, any number of people put significant amounts of time into this over the last 20 years. And that needs to be recognized, and it needs to continue in terms of this facility. So, again, my request, if you could delay it 2 months, allow us to get started on Monday with this meeting, which we had hoped to occur this past week, but didn't.
I just have a comment. If we were to delay it, would it be something that would be brought up to this committee that if the, you know, if the result ends up where they decide to build a new church and have to displace the museum, would they find a replacement place for the museum? Would that be the responsibility of the church?
Needs to be written as such. I'm assuming, Scott? If the ball went down that far and if we did end up displacing the museum, or the church ended up displacing the museum, could we not have that as part of the lease or as part of that agreement with the church, as far as if we were to give sell it back to them, part of the deed, if you will, that they are responsible then for housing or replacing or...
I would be curious, there's a number of lots there, and just, you know, how much property is there over and above the building, if that's what the committee is eyeing. But, you know, the property described in the lease is what is in the deed from the church to the city. The city of Melrose owns this property. There is a statement in the deed that if it's ever no longer used for city purposes, it goes back to the church. But, you know, any plans folks are making, this is public property owned by the city of Melrose. And if there's going to be So you're faced with what's the best use of this city property? Last 20 years, it's been a historical society. And what do you want to see that property used going forward?
Thank you, too. Thank you.
I would just like to clarify, especially for Carol, is that St. Mary's Church in their new worship space building team is not talking about moving the museum. Not talking about doing that. That's not on our agenda yet. Whether it gets on the agenda, no, we're not that far along. But we just think renewing that lease right now diminishes that option if that's what we're looking at. Again, everybody in that group believes in the value of the museum, the historical society, and the efforts they put into that, and the value to the community. So we've got all that to address as well. But we're just trying to pursue all the options that might be available to us. Any other questions?
Nope. Thank you. Any further comment?
One last comment is that if there is a potential lawsuit out there between, not the city at all, but between any parties that are having to do with this church, and if we do anything that we're going to act outside of what best practices are, or what industry standard is, or whatever that is, or if there's any perception of that, as a city council, as a municipality, as a governing agency, I would think we want to maintain the utmost neutrality in that situation.
Tony?
In light of what Gary has brought to our attention, you know, it's still ultimately going to be up to this body whether or not we renew the lease. They're looking for reassurance that they have basically a place to live for the next 20 years, because there are some unknowns in the not too distant future. I don't think it's out of the ordinary for them to come forward, thank not the industry more, but out of the ordinary for them to come to us and say, hey, can we extend the lease? We don't do it now, we know. We're gonna be sending for 3 months or 4 months, whatever. Doesn't hurt to wait, I don't know. I don't have a problem giving them a lease on it now, they're maintaining the building, they're updating it. But, I don't know.
I agree with you. I don't think it diminishes the ability if the church wants to visit with us. I do want to give you the assurances, whatever it takes. I want to give the Historical Society here, looking at everything available. I think that's about the best fit for you as of right now. And then if we need to figure out a way that at least we want to be in court for the Historical Society to keep you in office. That's my opinion, and that's how I strongly feel, because I really believe in the Historical Society for what you have done, and the history you brought back to the community. I appreciate that. So, Tony made a motion, and I would second his motion. So, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
So what that means is if you have a tie vote, it can come up for discussion again in 6 months. That's for the city code. So,
What about just left there?
6 months, then you can bring something back. Right, Patty, you and I talked about that.
Unless it's different,
What's that?
unless it's already.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
information items. Utilities Commission meeting minutes, police officer resignation, charter communications, correspondence, city center, front desk resignation, small city development program grant. Can I get a motion to approve?
One real quick question on information items. Housing partnership grant. What is that? Program rating services.
Oh, yeah. You're asking about the small cities development program?
Yeah.
That was, it's a state program that DEED has, and really what that's for is, it's a discussion we actually had last October, and it was mostly directly related to fire. We were trying to come up with some way that we could help the downtown, revitalize and that type of thing. And so we brought it to the council, and last year the council approved the agreement between the Central Minnesota Housing Partnership to assist us in the program. This agreement that we're in would just help us write the applications this fall. The application process is first in November, second one's in January, and then once they're awarded, if we get the program will last for 2 or 3 years. And it would be to help commercial downtown as well as a certain section of single-family homes in the city.
Okay. Refresh my memory, we approved this already? This is just information saying we're moving forward?
Yep, it's the calendar. now.
We approved this 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
I
just
didn't
saying.
recognize it. Thought it was something new.
Well, that's why I wanted to make sure that you guys saw this again, because it's been so long since it's been.
I know it's good. Thanks.
Is there any other questions or anything? Motion to approve?
So,
Take a second. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed, motion carries.